Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's been a very long time since I last posted on YouTube, and a lot has happened in that time. First, I got married this summer and moved to Norway, where I am now, just by the side of a lake. I live just up there, but I've not been down to this lake at all really. This is my third time since August. Because I've been so busy with renovating our house, trying to learn the language and just find my bearings here really. Later today I'm meeting up with someone, a new person. I've never really spoken to them before, but we're going to go climbing together in a nearby city, and so I'm trying to make some friends and get a bit of a social life, because that has been severely lacking since moving away from the UK. But I just wanted to update you guys on how I am, how I've been, and the future of the channel, which I suppose is maybe the most interesting thing for you guys. So obviously this channel has primarily been about gaming, about World of Warcraft, and more specifically about classic World of Warcraft. And any of you who have been really long-term subscribers, I know there's plenty of you out there. You'll remember some of my earliest videos being sort of campaigning for Classic to be released, and thankfully, despite I really didn't think it would happen, here we are, and Classic's doing great really, as far as I can see. There's hiccups, there's problems, there's some stumbling blocks, and it's not perfect, but I've been having a great time. I don't know about you guys. It's been basically what I would have hoped, and I finally started raiding literally a couple of weeks ago with my guild crew on Zandalar Tribe EU, and they're all great guys. So if any of you watch this, thanks for bringing me along to the raid, even though I'm a kind of shitty feral cat DPS and not got really any gear to speak of. And honestly, this northern sun being super low in the sky is giving me a bit of a headache. So I might just cover my eyes like this. Anyway, so I've been starting raiding, and Blackwing Lair's opening soon, and that's great. So the channel is sort of ostensibly video gaming and music, right? And a blend of those two. And the Scorecraft videos, as well as a quick Dungeon Master series I was starting working on just before I moved, both of those series I do want to keep going. They're just quite labor intensive, and I have to admit quite intimidating, because of how much work they take, especially Scorecraft. And I have a Scorecraft in the works from ages ago, about the loading screen for Classic, which I delayed because when I was really working on it mostly, it was before Classic was even out, and I didn't get beta, so I couldn't record any footage from the loading screen, from any of the legit stuff, and so I didn't want to release it until I got access to the servers, in case of getting my video taken down by Blizzard. So I waited on that, and now obviously I can record video from the legit Classic, and now I don't like the script very much, so I'm probably going to go back and rewrite it. And also I've been a bit ill with a sore throat, so I haven't been able to redo voiceovers for a little while, so I'm going to start working on that now. Keep the Scorecraft stuff going. Do some of the over time, go through all of the dungeons and do a bit of a Lore Master's Guide, I think. Tell me what you think about this. I'm interested in hearing opinions. This is why I'm making this video really, because this is a bit of a crossroads, a bit of a juncture, and I'm not sure exactly how to proceed, because I've changed a lot in this last year, and maybe if you're interested I could go into it in more detail. Basically, moving country, getting married, losing all my friends in a way. I mean, I still have all my friends, but they're very far away, and I don't really have any here yet. I'm starting to maybe make a couple of friends, but it's hard, and especially when you're in the middle of the countryside, which clearly you can see I am. There aren't that many people around to make friends with, especially if you're a foreigner that that's not grown up here. So yeah, I've been quite occupied with that kind of thing, and thus I've changed a bit as the years gone on, and my desires for the channel and for the kind of content I want to make have changed as well. basically, whilst I was doing the house renovating, I spent all day painting or plumbing or, you know, fixing stuff that's broken, roofing, all sorts. Like, the house was, to be honest, really in a bad way. It's from the 1950s, a wooden house, and we had to redo the roof several times and build foundations for the floor of the living room in the cellar, and yeah, just everything you could imagine that could be wonky about the house, it is. But we've got it in a nice way now, and it's quite cute, and it feels like home. It's slightly broken still, but it's ours, and that's all that matters, really. And so whilst I was doing all of that, whenever I wasn't working on the renovating, you know, in the evenings, I was just playing WoW on my own, solo, basically. I did about 7 or 8 dungeons the entire way to 60, something like that. Really within that sort of ballpark, because I didn't really even have the mental space to deal with a group of players in a dungeon, and that sort of tags onto streaming. And I had this idea in my mind that I'd stream a classic when it came out, but frankly, because I've been so alone here, you know, apart from my wife, really, I haven't really had anyone to talk to. So the idea of streaming to people, and indeed even doing this now, it's been quite difficult, because I didn't really feel like I had much of a social ability recently. So the idea of streaming, I thought, was a bit of a bridge too far. But yeah, I was just doing WoW, grinding on moms, you know, leveling, especially when the PvP update came out. I was level 48, I think, and I just got wrecked for ages. So I took a bit of a break from WoW, played a bit of RuneScape, and came back again. And now I'm at level cap, and I've got to the milestones I really was wanting to. So I've got a guild that I raid with regularly enough anyway. I'm starting to get there, and I don't really have much of a desire to do many alts at the moment, and so my goals with gaming are actually quite minimal right now. I'm thinking of expanding what I do a lot more. So I'm reading a lot more, and I have an idea to be doing this reading about history, but about fantasy books as well. And in an attempt to expand my knowledge of those subjects, so that I can maybe synthesize it into my own books at one point or other. It's been basically the longest term dream that I've ever had is to do fantasy writing, and so that's something I'm going to be working on as a bit of recreation, as a bit of a hobby, instead of, you know, leveling, for example. The time that I was dedicating to that, probably going to move over there a lot more. Although I'm not expecting to be able to produce anything along those lines anytime soon. I'm only young, and I'd like to absorb more stories and more information before I start really putting pen to paper. I'm going to start doing a bit of world building, but you know, this is just a long-term project I felt like mentioning now. But also doing a lot more stuff outdoors. Now, there's a YouTube channel called, well, it's just a guy. He makes it. His name is Bjørn Andreas Bull-hansen. He's a Norwegian guy, but he speaks in English. And I've actually got his book, well, the first of his series of books about Vikings, in Norwegian. So that's a big project for me. I got it for Christmas, and you know, reading a novel in Norwegian, it's going to be a bit tough, but I'm going to give it a good shot. And well, I'm going to read it. It's just I might need to read it with a dictionary. I understand Norwegian and all that, but reading a novel about Viking times, that might be a bit tough. So if you check out his channel, which I'll leave a link to in the description, I want to emulate something of that, because I live in a place now where nature is just literally on my doorstep. I'm a 10-minute walk from my front door right where I am now, and I've not gone and seen it hardly at all, because, well, frankly, having a coast so close to where I live is not something I'm used to. I was born on an island, you know, Britain, but I was born in the middle of the island, and I basically hardly ever been in the seaside, apart from in France on holidays when I was younger. And I've never lived on a seaside. They call this an inshore, which is just a lake, but literally means in sea, an inland sea. It's freshwater, this one, but it used to be saltwater. It used to be a proper fjord, but it's just not connected to the sea anymore, so technically it isn't a fjord, but they call it a fjord still. And there's a huge forest on the other side of this hill that goes on for days. And I've really not explored it at all. I've been on the very outskirts of it a few times, and every time I do, you know, my spirits are lifted considerably, and everything feels better. So this channel is about video games and music, and that's great. But I really want to explore the outdoors and bushcraft and really, I'm thinking off the cuff. I planned nothing for this video because I've been overthinking it for literally months now, coming back to YouTube. But I think I'm not alone, especially growing up as a city boy like I did. I think I'm not alone in saying that the thing that really attracts me to video games, you know, I'm not really much of an FPS guy. I enjoyed Apex Legends, you know, I might start playing that a bit again, who knows. It's a fun game. I like other games, but the real hook kind of games for me, the ones that reel me in, are MMOs, and you know, specifically World of Warcraft. That's no surprise to anyone on this channel, and stuff like the Elder Scrolls, RuneScape even. These kind of games where they draw you into a bigger world where, frankly, nature is a lot more apparent, and there's an idea of escapism and adventure and a world to explore beyond the mundane, you know, city streets. That is what I really got out of video games, especially when I was younger, because I lived in a place where there wasn't really that much nature. Well, there wasn't any nature, not natural nature. No, there's no trees that basically weren't planted by people, or at least weren't literally a stone's throw away from tarmac roads everywhere. So, and growing up being bullied a lot, I basically ran away to video games and to Tolkien books as a way of trying to imagine I was somewhere else, which basically turns out to be where I live now. I basically live in a Tolkien novel. I basically live in Grizzly Hills or Stone Talon Mountains, or I don't know. I'm not sure what zone of Warcraft this would be most like, at least not in vanilla. Obviously, if you can include the Wrath of the Lich King zones, put me in Howling Fjords or Grizzly Hills, but in Classic, I don't know what zone this would be. Maybe Ajara? Maybe Silverpine in better days. Anyway, but now that I'm here, now that I live here, I've got less of a need to be playing the video games, and maybe it'll be interesting on the channel for me to explore how to take what we love from video games into an outdoor setting for this digital generation where we're all a bit fucked up. You know, it should more or less be the other way around. So for the older generations, they look at video games and they have to learn why to enjoy them. But we grew up with video games, and now we have to learn how to enjoy the outdoors that we maybe didn't have access to when we were younger. That's at least my perspective. I know I'm rambling a lot, but please forgive me. This is my first time in a while, and hopefully that could be an interesting topic. You know, learning how to create fires, learning how to, just doing a diary video, going camping on a camping trip for a few days, or whittling. I don't know. Please give me suggestions, because I'm very inspired by Björn's YouTube channel and others like him, where it's a different pace of YouTube. It's you can have dead air, like I just did there, purposefully. It's a bit of a warm fireside chat. I don't have a fire here. Maybe I should. It's a little bit cold. It's this January after all, but we're having a very warm winter this year. So, right, I think I should leave it there. I've droned on for long enough, and if any of you are still listening, thank you. And also, thank you to everyone who supported me, especially my patrons, who for some reason are still supporting me despite my absence, which is, I don't really know what to say, but thank you. I will repay your generosity, I hope, soon enough. But welcome to the new decade, guys. I think this is going to be one of the better ones of my life, and certainly the best one so far. And I'm looking forward to sharing that journey with you. And please do write in the comment section what you'd like to see, if this outdoors stuff is an interesting concept to you. I really want to hear about it, and any suggestions you might have in relation to that, because start of a new year, start of a new decade, and coming back to YouTube for the first time in half a year, I feel like now's a good time to make some changes. Scorecraft isn't going anywhere, and I want to expand it into other games as well, but I might change the format in some ways because it is just so mind-bogglingly time-consuming to do for such a really niche product that getting eyes on, getting promoted in YouTube is basically impossible with something that niche. So I want to branch out as well as doing a Scorecraft thing as a passion project. But I'm repeating myself now, guys. So looking forward to seeing you in the comments. And yeah, it's been an interesting break, but I'm back now. He says he's back, but I am back, and your job now is to help me figure out what that means and what sort of videos I'll be making. So see you in the comments, guys, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.